welcome to the OACETT PASB Professional Development Series seminar on developing your brand and your key messages, also known as Marketing 101. What we're going to do in this session is, first of all, go over some key terms about different aspects of marketing that you need to know about. Among those key terms are brand and key messages. Then we're going to take a look at how you can integrate your brand and your key messages into all of the communication that you do about OACETT and within OACETT. So both internal communication and external communication. We're going to use a document that OACETT has produced, the strategic plan from 2014 to 2019. So this is kind of the document that guides everything that the organization does. And we're going to look at how to integrate pieces of that into the marketing that you do about OACETT as a volunteer with the organization. We'll start the session with a big picture look at what marketing is. So what are all the activities that fall under this umbrella term? Then we're going to start looking at some of these pieces individually, starting with what a brand is, and then what a key message is, and then we're going to put that together into a brand pyramid, and then finally we'll look at marketing channels, how we get these messages out there. Throughout all of this, we're going to integrate the OACETT strategic plan so that you can really figure out how all of this applies to your work or your volunteering at OACETT. We'll finish off the session with an opportunity for you to develop your own personal action plan to put these concepts into practice. On your handout, you'll see a diagram that attempts to capture this whole big picture concept of marketing. So what actually is marketing and what are the pieces that go into it? So we'll take a look at the components of this diagram one by one so you can see how all of these pieces fit together to actually do this thing called marketing. But first, what is marketing? Marketing is simply getting the word out about what you do or the products that you offer. So it's letting people know, hey, here's what we do, here's who we are. So that's the concept of marketing. But there's a lot that goes into the concept of marketing and the actions of marketing. So let's break those down using this diagram that you've got. Starting at the top of the diagram, you'll see the term marketing strategy, and then there's an arrow down to marketing plan, and then you've got your target market. So a marketing strategy is just your big picture set of activities or set of actions that you're going to use in order to accomplish this activity or this objective of letting people know about your organization. So how are you going to let people know about OACETT? So the strategy are the overall principles that are guiding what you do. And then those get put into place or put into action through a marketing plan. And then all of this happens within the context of your target market. Okay? So that's the big picture idea of marketing. But then if we break the marketing plan down, you'll see on the diagram there's branches going down and other components there. So if we break that down, there's a lot more involved in putting together this marketing plan, which then feeds into the strategy. So we'll take a look at those pieces now. On the left-hand side of the diagram, underneath marketing plan, you'll see three pieces that collectively make what's called the statement of purpose. And these three pieces are a vision, a mission, and strategic priorities. So these three together create your statement of purpose. And that is, why is your organization in existence? What's it hoping to accomplish? So thankfully for you, all of this work has been done for you, and this is where we turn to the strategic plan. So this piece of the marketing plan is captured in the OACETT strategic plan. So let's take a look at these pieces. The vision of an organization is what it wants to be in the future. So what's this future that's guiding the organization? So the vision is kind of out there, and then the organization is trying to get there through its present day actions. So the vision is, what do you want to be as an organization? And here's what OACETT's vision is. Advancing the engineering and applied science technology profession in Ontario, in Canada, and worldwide. The next piece to the statement of purpose is the mission. And once again, you've already got this from the OACETT strategic plan. So let's take a look at the mission. The mission is what the organization is doing right now in order to create that vision in the future. So what is OACETT doing right now in order to advance engineering, technology, and applied science in Ontario, Canada, and worldwide? OACETT is Ontario's independent certifying body for engineering and applied science technicians and technologists. The association provides exceptional member certification, benefits, and services. In so doing, OACETT meets the needs of its members, creates a visible and globally recognized professional standard, and serves the public interest. The final piece in the statement of purpose is the strategic priorities of the organization. And once again, these are found in the OACETT strategic plan. Let's take a look at them. So the first strategic priority is member opportunity, development, and professionalism. The second strategic priority is communication and outreach. And then the third strategic priority is unique value proposition, or creating a unique value proposition. These together allow the organization to fulfill its mission and its vision. So the OACETT strategic plan has the vision, mission, and strategic priorities. And those are pieces that are used in marketing and developing a marketing plan. The strategic plan has other components such as the action objectives, but those really are not about marketing. Those kind of take the organization on the operational side of things. So we're just looking at the vision, mission, and strategic objectives. Together, these are the statement of purpose of the organization. And so this is one component of the marketing plan. Going back to the diagram on marketing, you'll see on the right-hand side, there's a statement of method. And the statement of method is how we're going to take this purpose and operationalize it from a marketing perspective. So the statement of method includes things like schedules, procedures, and then the tools or the channels that are going to be used in order to market the organization. The statement of method is really the practical side of marketing. It answers really basic questions such as, what are we going to do? When are we going to do it? And how are we going to do it? Many organizations will put the statement of method into something like a calendar or an overall annual schedule. So in January, here's what we're going to do and how. And then in February, here's what we're going to do and how. And March and April and so on. I forgot my calendar there. So it's a very, very practical piece to the marketing plan. And it's a really good idea to have your statement of method very clear, because then your marketing just becomes a series of activities that you do, and you know exactly what you're doing and when you're doing it. So it's a really good tool just to guide all of your marketing activities. The final piece to a marketing plan that you'll see right down at the bottom of the diagram is the policies that your organization has around marketing. And these are really practical things such as which logos do you use, when can the logos be used, when can they not be used, which taglines do you use, who needs to approve what pieces of marketing, how much can you spend, and so on. So these policies just really guide the marketing to make it consistent and standardized throughout the organization. So that's marketing. The diagram's not quite as complicated as it looks initially, right? Marketing can be considered either an art or a science, or I like to actually consider it both. Okay? The people who argue that marketing is an art are people who place importance on the visual aspect of marketing. So what images are used, what colors are used, how's a logo positioned, what logo is used, and so on. So there really is this artistic side to marketing. You need to know design, graphic design, just basic art concepts in order to do it well. But there is also a science side to marketing. And this is a side that's very systematic. And the science side of marketing uses a lot of data to really understand what the target market wants. What are they thinking? What do they think they need? What do they really need? How much are they willing to pay for what they think they need? And so on. So in order to fully understand marketing, you can't say it's either an art or a science. You really have to say that it's both. It's got this wonderful, fun, creative, visual side to it, the art, and then it also has a very scientific, practical, analytical side to it, the science of marketing. You might be sitting there thinking, well, this is nice, now I know what marketing is all about, and now I know what goes into a marketing plan, but what does this have to do with me as an OACETT volunteer? Well, it actually has quite a bit to do with you. With professional organizations, one of the main ways that they market themselves to the general public and also to other professionals is through the professional members themselves, particularly the volunteers. You're kind of the face of OACETT. And that means when you talk about OACETT, you're actually marketing OACETT to the general public or to other professionals. That's why it's really important for you to actually know about marketing and know how this works, because you are actually involved in the marketing process of OACETT as an OACETT volunteer. Like it or not, it goes with the job. Before we jump into key marketing concepts such as brand and key message, we're going to backtrack a little bit and take a look at a concept or a process called a SWOT analysis. You've probably heard of a SWOT analysis, and you've maybe even done one yourself. A SWOT analysis is a process that organizations put themselves through in order to actually build their strategic plans. So that strategic plan that OACETT has for 2014 to 2019, it's based on a very in-depth SWOT analysis. And I want to make you aware of a SWOT analysis because this is actually lying underneath those marketing plans and everything you do as a marketer for an organization. So a SWOT analysis stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And what a SWOT analysis is it looks at the organization both internally and externally to figure out first of all, what's going well, and then what could derail the organization or what could cause problems in the future. The two pieces of a SWOT analysis that relate to the internal functioning of the organization are the SW. So what are the strengths of the organization and what are the weaknesses? So what is the organization doing well and what does it need to work on or improve? Then the two pieces that relate to the external environment in which the organization is functioning are the O and the T. What are the opportunities that are out there in the environment? And T, what are the threats that are out there in the environment? So I'd like you to try a SWOT analysis just based on your perspective. What do you think the strengths of OACETT are, the weaknesses, what are the opportunities that are out there in the environment, and what are the threats? So I'll let you have a go at that. Hopefully you tried doing a SWOT analysis of OACETT. It's a really good activity to do on any organization that you're involved with. But if you're a volunteer, it's particularly important to know what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, what are the opportunities, and what are the threats. As I mentioned, a SWOT analysis is kind of the underlying foundation for any strategic plan, which is in turn the underlying foundation of a marketing plan. So you need to know about a SWOT analysis and you need to know how to do one. The first piece of marketing terminology that we'll take a look at is the term brand. A brand is everything that you think about and feel when you see and hear the name of an organization and that organization's logo. So it is simply the response that people have both intellectually and emotionally to hearing about the organization. You've heard the term brand many, many times in public conversation, I'm sure. There's the McDonald's brand and the Nike brand and so on. And organizations spend millions, and I do mean millions of dollars, in order to build their brand. And they actually claim brand value as part of their assets. So, for example, the Coca-Cola brand is worth millions and millions and millions of dollars, and the Nike brand is worth millions of dollars. Because people have such a good feeling when they see that logo, when they see the company name, and when they hear about the company. So branding is really important. What do people think and what do they feel when they hear and see your organization and your logo? We can also turn the word brand into a verb called branding. And branding is simply the process of building that image for your organization. And branding is really targeted at what we call the target market, hence the word target. So the target market is simply everyone who would be interested potentially or is currently interested in your organization. So I just want to take a few minutes or a few seconds to take a quick look at OACETT's target market. So when you're developing an OACETT brand, who's that targeting? Who are you going after? Now OACETT has a really interesting and multi-layered target market. So the obvious target market are potential members, so engineering technicians and technologists and applied scientists. Okay, that's one obvious target market, but there's many more layers there. OACETT has as part of its target market government, okay, so different layers of government. They want them to think and feel a certain way about OACETT. All of the organizations that hire OACETT members are part of the target market. Colleges are part of the target market. College students are part of the target market. And believe it or not, even the general public is part of the OACETT target market, because part of OACETT's mandate is to serve the general public. So the target market for OACETT is much more complex than you might originally think, which in turn makes the branding of OACETT more complex than you might originally think. Here's another quick activity for you. Take a look at the OACETT logo, and then in your mind just over and over again say the OACETT name, or look at the OACETT name spelled out on paper. And quickly jot down what first comes to mind when you see that logo and when you hear that name. So what are the qualities, what ideas, what feelings come to mind when you see the logo and when you hear the name? And that, to you, is the OACETT brand. The next concept we'll take a look at, or the next term, is the term key message. A key message is a phrase or a sentence that captures a really important characteristic or a point about your organization. So it tells people what your organization is all about. Another way to think about key messages is as an elevator speech. You may have heard elevator speeches that are used to talk about yourself. So there's something that people get a lot of in career training. Make a 2-minute elevator speech about yourself, meaning you've got 2 minutes as the elevator goes from the ground floor up to the 10th floor to convince someone to hire you. We have the same concept for organizations. If you only had 2 minutes to talk to someone about OACETT, what would you say? And what you would say are these key messages. So here's your next job. Take a few minutes and write down at least 5 key messages about OACETT that you would want someone to know. So you're meeting someone, they have no idea what OACETT's all about. You've got 5 sentences to tell them everything they need to know about OACETT. Key messages are really important because they are actually something you have a little bit of control over. Every organization has its own key messages that it wants everyone to talk about. But as an OACETT volunteer, you'll have your own key messages about what the organization really means to you. So, what really stands out to you as a member of OACETT and as a volunteer for OACETT. So you don't have a lot of control over the branding of an organization, but you do, as a professional member of a professional association, have some control over the key messages, because as a volunteer, you're always talking about your organization, and this is what you want people to know about it. So key messages are really important for you because it is something you have a bit of control over. You don't have a lot of control over branding unless you're part of a committee looking at the logo, for example, but you do have some control over what you tell people about OACETT. The next piece we'll take a look at is something called a brand pyramid. And a brand pyramid is, obviously it's a pyramid, but it's a tool that you can use to pull everything together about how you want to communicate or market OACETT as an organization. So it's not as simple as a brand or a key message. It's got lots of components to it. So let's take a look at what those components are, and then you'll have a go actually building a brand pyramid for OACETT as an organization. We'll start right at the top of the brand pyramid, and this is what's called the brand focus. So it's a very, very pinpoint, narrow piece that everything in the organization comes down to. So it's a single word, so this is where you have to wordsmith things a bit. It's a single word that's the entire focus of OACETT as an organization. So that's the brand focus. The next layer down is the brand personality. So this captures the feelings and perceptions that you want OACETT members and the general public, all of your target market actually, to have about OACETT as an organization. Do you want them to see it as cutting edge, professional, credible, honest? So any words that capture the feeling you want people to have about OACETT, this is the brand personality piece. The next layer down in the pyramid are the brand values or attributes. This layer answers the question, what value does OACETT have for its members? What value does it have to the general public? Is it cost effective? Is it convenient? Is it practical? What's the value that OACETT adds? The next layer down is the benefits that OACETT offers to members and to the general public and to any of the target market. So for example, it could be a benefit is credibility, another benefit is professionalism, one could be representation, collegiality. What are the concrete benefits that people have from OACETT? And finally, right down at the base of the pyramid, at its foundations, are the features. These are the things that OACETT offers that makes it what it is as an organization. So that's a brand pyramid starting from the top right at the brand focus all the way down to the features. So here's your next activity. I'd like you to take this concept of a brand pyramid and see if you can build the brand pyramid for OACETT from your perspective. So what is the brand focus all the way down to what are the features of OACETT? This is not as easy as it sounds, so it might take you, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes to figure this out, because this is really capturing the essence of the organization. But it's a great exercise to put yourself through, because then you can really understand what OACETT's all about and what it offers the target market, its members, the colleges, the government, the general public. I had 2 different groups go through this brand pyramid exercise, and they're groups from OACETT. So I'm going to give you some ideas of what they came up with, so you can compare what you came up with to what your colleagues came up with. See if you got the same ideas or different ideas. So here are some possibilities for the OACETT brand pyramid. So for the brand focus, the 2 groups actually didn't agree. One group thought the brand focus was advancement, so the advancement of the profession. And then another group thought the brand focus was all about certification. Then for the brand personality, once again, the 2 groups were slightly different. One was energetic, cutting edge, and dynamic. So this is how they thought the organization had what its personality was. And another group had knowledgeable and qualified. Okay. Then going down to the brand values, we started to get more agreement among the 2 groups here. So some brand values were transparency, accountability, professionalism, and currency, meaning it is current or up to date, and relevance. Then the next layer down, we had a lot more agreement among the 2 groups for the brand benefits. So words they came up with were recognition, employability, increased salary, career advancement, professional development, credibility, networking, and advocacy. And then finally down at the features level, so what the organization actually offers, they came up with certification, the affinity programs such as the insurance and benefits, recognition awards, events, chapter meetings, volunteer recognition certificates, advocacy, volunteer opportunities, continuing professional development program, and communication. So these are just examples of what 2 groups of your colleagues came up with for the OACETT brand pyramid. So you've got your brand, you've got your key messages, you've got your brand pyramid. What do you do with these? This is where we get into the practical side of things. Remember that statement of method? You need to take your brand, your key messages, and your brand pyramid, and somehow you have to get that out there to your target market. And you do that with your statement of purpose. The key piece in your statement of method. The key piece in the statement of method really is the channels that you use. Today, in today's world, with all the technology we have, there are many, many different ways to get our messages out there to our target markets. These ways, they're called marketing channels. So a marketing channel is simply a conduit or a way to get your message of your brand and your brand pyramid and your key messages out to your target market. So we've got basic ways that we've relied on in the past. We've got face-to-face communication. You can do advertisements on TV. You can do print advertisements. But the real key today with technology is we've got all these other different ways to get our messages out there. We've got websites. We've got social media. Tons and tons of social media stuff. We've got events that we can hold. We've got virtual events that we can hold. Basic public relations is another marketing channel. So there's a lot of different ways to communicate to a target market about who OACETT is. And the real challenge is picking which ways you're going to use, because you can't do them all. But you also don't just want to do one way. So as an organization, OACETT has to decide which channels, which marketing channels they're going to use, and then how much time and effort and resources they're going to devote to each of those channels. So it's actually getting more complicated today with all of the different technology that's out there in terms of deciding which marketing channels to use in order to get that brand and get that key messaging and the brand pyramid out there. So I'd like you to take a few minutes and see if you can, just based on what you've seen from OACETT and what you know and what you yourself do, what are the marketing channels that OACETT uses to communicate to the target market? See if you can come up with some ideas. There are a lot of things that OACETT does to get its brand, key messages, and brand pyramid out there to the public. So here are some of the marketing channels that are currently used. See how many you came up with. So there's the Ontario Technologist magazine, the annual general meeting, the annual report, obviously the website, social media. There are outreach staff whose job it is to get the messages out there. There's a whole network of volunteers, including yourself. There's professional educators at the college level, industry events and trade shows. OACETT has Meet the Grad Nights at colleges or uses those events. Partner associations, there's the C10 network, brochures, the OACETT Awards program, the Fletcher Foundation, NEM, Skills Canada, promotional materials, just the networking that members do, all the government relations activities, the press releases, event advisories, media invitations, advertisements, and sponsorships. So there's a lot of marketing channels here that OACETT is using. And you'll notice you're part of that. Let's just do a quick review of everything that we've covered in terms of marketing and marketing OACETT. So we started with a big picture look at the overall concept of marketing. So remember that diagram, you've got your marketing strategy and your marketing plan, all within the context of your target market. And remember, OACETT's got quite a complicated target market. Then on one side, we've got our statement of purpose, which is our vision, our mission, and our strategic priorities. On the other side, we've got our statement of method, which is our schedules, procedures, and channels. Marketing channels are very important. And then we've got our policies. So that's our big picture look at marketing. Then we took a look at what a brand is, and I had you take a look at the OACETT logo and name and think about what that brand is. Then you took a look at key messages. So what are the key messages if you just had 2 minutes in an elevator to tell someone about OACETT? What would you say? Then we took a look at a brand pyramid, which really pulls together the essence of the organization in a really clear, logical, step-by-step way. And then finally, we looked at marketing channels, all the different ways that you can get this information and these messages about OACETT out there to the target market. There's one last job for you to do, and that is to develop your own personal action plan with respect to the branding and key messaging of OACETT and related to your role as a volunteer and your role in the chapters and or regions. So what I'd like you to do is go back through the material that we've covered and pick out the top 3 points that really speak to you and that really relate to what you're doing currently for OACETT, and put together 3 goals or objectives that you have in terms of marketing OACETT in your role as a volunteer. So it could be something like developing new marketing channels, or it could be using an existing marketing channel. Another example might be developing your own elevator speech for OACETT. So go back through the material, come up with 3 goals or objectives that you have in the next 4 months or so to really put this information about marketing OACETT into practice. On your handout, you'll see a list of additional resources that you can dig into if marketing is something that really is of interest to you. These resources provide you with a lot more theoretical background and additional practical ideas that you can put into play or put into practice in your role as a volunteer with OACETT. So take a look at those additional resources if this is of interest. Thanks very much for watching the OACETT PASB Professional Development Series seminar on developing your brand and key messages. Hopefully there were some good takeaways for you in this session that you can use as a volunteer with OACETT.